Great news, everybody. I am finally cleansed from that asinine acid trip known as food fight. All thanks to taking a pilgrimage to watching my favorite vocal goddess of all time, Diana Damrau, singing Lucia Ashton, and alongside her, my all-time favorite vocal saint, Pavol Breslik, singing Edgardo Ravenswood. And the entire shebang was totally awesome. Okay, maybe I'm getting way too ahead of myself. So you guys know who I am. I'm Antoni, and this is my review of Donizetti's Lucia di Lammermoor live from the Bayerische Staatsoper, which I saw on YouTube thanks to my awesome friend Dylan Haynes. The conductor was Kirill Petrenko. The production was done by Barbara Wysocka. The set designs were done by Barbara Hanicka. The costumes were done by Julia Kornacka. The lights were done by Rainer Kasper, and the chorus master was Stellario Fagone. Now, here are some reasons why this entire production and the cast were totally awesome. Starting with the production, I really love the concept. You could tell that the people behind this production transported the entire plot of Lucia di Lammermoor from 17th century Scotland all the way up to the 1950s, 1960s United States of America. Probably an amalgamation of Washington, D.C., Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York. Maybe one of those cities, but I'm sure it's an amalgamation of all of those cities. And we see a broken down house with the name Ashton vandalized on there. And we just see the entire action being taken place in this broken down house instead of all the scenery changes of having mountains or trees or rivers. I think it's quite refreshing to have this type of Lucia done in another setting. Yes, purists come and attack me, but this is my opinion, and this is pretty much redone production that I totally enjoy, mostly because we really get to see how Lucia gets to really navigate herself and negotiate all of those situations she goes through as a woman living through those times, and how she manages to be a strong, independent, fierce, and very, very strong-minded woman instead of the willowy, wiltering flower that we usually see in a lot of different productions. And the costumes were really great in their own special ways. And instead of having Lucia coming in blood splattered with her white gown, we see her dressed to the nines in a silver gown with her hair tied up with a pistol right on her hand. And it's just absolutely fun and absolutely gorgeous in its own special way. So even though some people might wish for scenery, like having trees, mountains, and all of that greenery and a lot of other things that usually make Lucia di Lammermoor a very wonderful period piece in its own special way, I'm totally open-minded to productions like this that are not afraid to put the characters in different settings and even add a lot of layers to them that we've never thought possible. So I really have to give kudos to Barbara Wysocka and all of the crew members for really putting in a lot of effort to making this production come alive. And props also has to go to the costumes, and you can really tell that these people have really done all their research and really found a lot of things of how people acted in those days and just how people functioned in society during the 1950s and 1960s USA. So purists, come on and attack me with your hate mail. I still like this production. I definitely enjoyed it. It has a lot of fun nuances all around, and it's just interesting in its own special way. And now we get to the singers, starting off with my vocal goddess, Diana Damrau, singing Lucia Ashton. And what more can I expect from an awesome singer like her? She was absolutely fabulous, not only as a singer, but also as an actress. Granted, there were moments which she sounded kind of labored, but that's a small dent to pay in what is otherwise an amazing and thrilling performance. It is raw, it is so full of nuances, and it's just a lot of fun watching someone like Diana Damrau really conquer the stage to the best of her abilities, to the best of her skills, and really give a Lucia worth rooting for from beginning to end. She was so playful with her character in the first act, yet so fierce in the final act that I was totally blown away. And what more can I expect from someone like Diana Damrau? She's always been one of my most favorite singing actresses of all time. Her Edgardo was none other than my vocal saint, Pavol Breslik, who sang his role with finesse and agility and such a fine technique. This was also his debut in this role back in 2015. And he did wonderfully, really giving off a lot of fine nuances and really embodying this James Dean-like character. He really knew what to do with this particular gentleman, and he embodied him with a sense of roguishness and a sense of charm that is so irresistible. I can't even take my eyes off of him. He has a very wonderful voice to match, even though I would have loved to have a more spinto voice singing Edgardo. But I digress. He still did fabulously. He was able to give a lot of fire and passion to this role, and he just did wonderfully all throughout. Singing the role of Lucia's brother, Enrico, we have the wonderful dramatic baritone Dalibor Yenes. And I think that this role is a perfect fit for someone who specializes in a lot of these chevalier baritone roles. He has the trademark look and the trademark voice to match this cavalier baritone role. He does a very fine job making Enrico a very powerful figure, but also someone who is very charming in his own special way. Then we go to Georg Zeppenfeld as Raimondo Bidevent, and he continues to have one of the finest basso cantante instruments of all time. I love the plush tones of his voice. I love everything about his vocal prowess, and his stage presence was both commanding yet tender. A perfect blend to really make Raimondo likable in his own special way. Emanuele Daguano's Arturo Bocla was wonderfully sung, and he manages to really make the best out of this thankless character thanks to his awesome lyric tenor voice, and from what I can tell, he's got a very awesome future ahead of him. Rachel Wilson as Alisa was also splendidly sung, making the best of her lyric mezzo instrument to such a role as thankless as this, and she manages to give her such life and vivacity that you really do feel that she is Lucia's best friend for life. And Dean Powers' Normanno is totally my ideal voice for any light tenor singing Normanno. It's not nasal, nor is it too ugly sounding. In fact, it's wonderful. And he used his light lyric tenor voice to his advantage, really making Normanno come alive. And he managed to make the best out of this role. So overall, aside from Diana Damrau and Pavol Breslik really giving the goods in this production, everyone did magnificently. And the conducting done by Kirill Petrenko was absolutely well done, and I could really see just how focused he is in everything he does from beginning to end. So overall, this was a huge cure to what I had to experience from Food Fight. And thank the Lord I don't have to touch Food Fight anymore, because honey, this was my major cure. with awesome singers like Diana Damrau, Pavol Breslik, Dalibor Yenes, Georg Zeppenfeld, Emanuele Daguano, Rachel Wilson, and Dean Power, and with an awesome conductor like Kirill Petrenko, I was cured. And it was just so much fun just by watching these singers and all of the musicians, everyone just coming together in harmony, and they just had a ball. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for yet another blast in the past opera review of Donizetti's Anna Bolena, starring Mariella Devia and Laura Polverelli, among the stars of the opera. So until then, have a great night, everybody. And also stay tuned for my review of Kileza and her band, which will be shown at the Prachtwerk Berlin. So until then, have a great evening, everybody.